Okay. All right. Well, it is after midnight on uh, Friday night, technically Saturday morning. So we're on the final 5 hours and 20 minutes of the very first collective intelligence block party. Um, and Patricia has asked me a really great question, which is, what's the connection between Radish and Vegan World 2026? Well, the connection started off as a friendship. I was introduced to Dr. Silas Rao by a mutual friend over a year ago. I forget how long ago. And Silas would come and participate on what was then the social club at the end of the world, which would meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, totally open to anyone and everyone, just like this meeting. And so we started hanging, and I started to get to know more and more about veganism. And so Melissa and I started to go vegan and embarked on that journey. And it has been a journey. So, and Joey, just know that you can take the journey at whatever pace, you choose. That's the bottom line. It's your choice. There's no one to tell you, what to do or etc. Okay. And so, very much in that spirit, we said, okay, we choose to embark on this journey at our own pace. And then, we just had a number of great video conferences. And then Silas and Deborah interviewed me as part of this online Vegan World thing they had going on in, I guess, early October, late September, early October, something like that, of this last year. And that interview went really, really well. And a number of vegans who saw that interview then joined Radish and started participating in our various online activities. And then in late October, I went down to the 2-day, conference in Arizona for Vegan World 2026. And that wasn't the first time I'd met Silas in person. In fact, we had hosted Silas in the San Francisco Bay Area for 2 different Sierra Club dinners. One of them on where he was with Guy McPherson and Matthew Fox, and another one where he was just the only guest speaker. And we actually had the first ever vegan Sierra Club dinner in honor of Silas and the movement. So I'd worked with Silas before in person a couple times, and that was super awesome. And then, but when I went down in October and I met, so many people from the community, then I just suddenly had the inspiration there at the conference. Why don't we start a vegan collective intelligence? So I said, hey, Silas, can I get up in front of everybody and propose a vegan collective intelligence? He said, sure, go for it. So I just very passionately look, we can do this. It's so cool, blah, blah, blah. And a bunch of people got interested, and we had a breakout session because on the second and last, well, really third and last day, if you count Friday evening was the first day, and then Saturday, then all day Sunday. So on Sunday, there were a number of different breakout rooms for people who wanted to focus on specific projects. And Vegan Collective Intelligence became one of those projects that people could choose from. And there were about 10 people who came to that one, and 10, 12, I forget. But anyway, and we kind of laid the foundations for it. And then when I came back up here to Whidbey Island, we started having regular weekly Vegan Collective Intelligence meetings. And we would just get together and talk about stuff, and between Suzanne and Ray and Benjamin and others, a survey was cooked up to kind of, lay out some basic, so to basically help orient people within Vegan World 2026 and people interested in Vegan World 2026 as to the different options. But that was really the first project of Vegan Collective Intelligence, who's, in the case of Vegan World 2026, the mission is essentially to be sort of like an internal, CIA, but with none of the bad connotations, but basically, keep tabs on every group, what they're doing, but with the entirely benevolent intent of, centralizing this information and then being able to, have these VCI, Vegan Collective Intelligence meetings, where ideally each group would present kind of a summary once a month and then keep the VCI up to date, and likewise be kept up to date as to what the other groups are doing. Anyway, so after several weeks of that modality of just weekly meetings that, by default I was leading, and one of the things that we did also as a project was Vegan Reflection, which is basically a mashup between veganism, collective intelligence, and SRM, right? Vegan Reflection. Anyway, so we developed that and started promoting that, built a website for it. 2 groups went out into like public, demonstrations with reflective signs that said Vegan Reflection. But anyway, by mid-December, I think we'd been holding meetings for like 5 or 6 weeks up to that point. And I met virtually with Anne and Benjamin and Suzanne, and together we agreed that it would make that, first of all, the 3 of them were fortunately willing to take on, kind of heading up the Vegan Collective Intelligence Reloaded, where sociocracy has been developed, implemented, systems, Google Doc, Google spreadsheets, and all kinds of really good stuff is being implemented. And those 3, Benjamin, Anne, and Suzanne, are just really dynamite, doing a great job. And Jorge's helping out a ton, and lots of people are kicking in and helping out in different ways. And so that kind of brings it up to date. I guess I did go into some detail, but anyway, does that answer your question? Oh, but then there's more. But separate from that kind of relationship of Radish participating in the weekly VCI meetings and, helping get that whole thing going, along with Vegan Reflection, separate from those, there's just this general friendship and basically, permeable US-Canadian border between Vegan World 2026 and Radish. So, for example, probably most of the participants in today's block party have come from Vegan World 2026. And another thing is that, like, before we had gotten as far along as we are now, and it was like, how do we get collective intelligence off the ground? When I was down in Arizona in October and went to the conference, Vegan World 2026 conference, at that point, seeing that there was just such appetite for a vegan collective intelligence, for a time there, we were kind of thinking, hey, maybe this is what we just got to focus on. Let's just focus on a vegan collective intelligence, develop it there, expand it from, from that starting point to vegans everywhere was kind of part of the initial thought. Which still makes a lot of sense as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, And Benjamin and Suzanne taking over really helped free us up to be able to really focus on this, the collective intelligence block party, which is also a mashup between collective intelligence, veganism, and SRM, but in a different way. Here, collective intelligence and the specific, form or class of collective intelligence called collective superintelligence, and then our specific implementation of collective superintelligence, which is radical collective intelligence. That is absolutely the initial foundation for this. And that foundation is going to grow and evolve as others get involved and share there's all these different collective intelligence groups out there, right? Radish is not alone looking at this space, working on this space. We think that we have the best solution that we've ever seen. Therefore, we think Radish is the best solution for collective superintelligence. There's a lot of great stuff going on in the realm of collective intelligence. Wikipedia is collective intelligence. Google search, collective intelligence. Facebook, it's collective. Twitter, Reddit. Anyway, I could go on and on, but these are all forms of collective intelligence, but they are text-based and they're asynchronous, right? It's basically passing notes under the door and calling that collective intelligence, right? Versus coming together and talking real time, face to face. I mean, shit, pardon my French, but what do you think is going to create a more powerful collective intelligence? See, but here's the cool thing. Ours is not just conversation-based synchronous video conferencing. Ours is a mashup of literally everything I just mentioned and myriad other web services. It's a mashup between Google search, Wikipedia, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And video conferencing, where the video conferences are broadcast, recorded, transcribed, translated into myriad languages, and indexed. And it's that index that then, is the core of Google search as a service, which allows people to search for and find different conversations. It's kind of that simple. And when you look at it that way, it's obvious. My goodness, if we want to reach some climax of collective intelligence, tapping into our powers of collaboration, conversation, but anyway, so just take a given conversation. Maybe there's a group that meets every Saturday afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. About permaculture, period. All right, okay, great. A Zoom video conference happens once a week on Saturday for 2 hours. And what happens to the week in between those meetings, right? The almost 7 days in between those meetings. Imagine we create a Reddit post with a whole Reddit thread that would kind of go like this. Boom, here's a link to this video conference that we just had for 2 hours where we just totally got into it. And Patricia sang some songs and, et cetera, et cetera. Boom, paste that. Imagine that's the start of a thread on Reddit. And then even people who weren't at the meeting can watch the video and then say, wow, I loved it, and da-da-da-da, and here's what I think, and da-da-da. And then some people who were at the meeting said, well, yeah, but did you consider this, and da-da-da-da. And oh, by the way, now that I've had a couple days to sleep on it, think about it, da-da-da-da, here's what I think, right? So that, fast forward a week, now you've got a week worth of basically discussion forum, text-based asynchronous discussion forum, fertilizing the next 2-hour Zoom video conference. So it's milk, Oreos, milk, Oreos, milk, Oreos, right? Every time you take a sip of milk, you want another Oreo. Every time you take a bite of an Oreo, you want another glass of, all vegan, of course, right?
Of course.
Pardon me?
Of course,
Of course.
vegan.
Well, duh.
And Oreos are vegan.
Pardon me?
And Oreos are vegan.
Well, that's actually bad to know for me because now I'll probably. But anyway, but now. Anyway,
Well, can I comment on that?
Yeah, please.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad. I love hearing history because it does help. I don't know. It just helps me to put things in perspective and to emphasize, to see how quickly things came have come to play. I mean, and I want to acknowledge that it was kind of an it sounds like an open space technology type meeting where you could, instead of having this program of speakers that are scheduled ahead of time and a few people decide who gets to come. You did need to ask Silas, but he's a very open, it seems like he's very open and encouraging. So that's a great attribute of, I've experienced that from him. So the fact that there was that space for you to make that announcement, and so that says a lot, that there was that flexibility in that conference. And I know that I've heard the history of Benjamin and Suzanne. They're brand new vegans, brand new activists, and they've just jumped in, never done and never done anything like this, and yet I see them as really pillars, and also now I've gotten to know them. So I want to acknowledge that you were encouraging them, Jamin, and empowering them to be the leaders that they are now, that you kind of pass the baton. And that is the definition I've heard, that a leader is someone who helps make other people leaders. And really, we're all leaders. We can, but still, we're creating an environment where we really are empowered to be leaders and use our gifts. And so I want to thank you for really encouraging and empowering Anne and Benjamin and Suzanne, because they are amazing. And I want to observe also that I'm really glad that you were able to pass that baton and then have Radish be separate, because we really need an organization that's doesn't have the word vegan in it, because as I hope Joey, that you feel more welcome to join Vegan 2026. And we vegans do like to know that a place is a vegan space, because we felt so disappointed and rejected in places where we wanted to come. So when we hear the word vegan, we go, yeah, I want to come. But we come to Radish knowing, because we know you, Jamin, I met you, and so now I'm drawn to Radish. Now other people can come to Radish that aren't vegan, they're gonna feel more open maybe. And so I just see this, it's a wonderful partnership. And I hope that the Vegan Visions community that I'm creating here will, I'm only, figuring out how to interface with that. and also the compassionate living circles, which will be in uh, little communities that are in faith communities will also, I want them to know about Radish. I want faith communities to know. I'd love to have more people of faith coming in. And because really, faith is we who have a specific spiritual path, we do have faith that there are answers. We're trusting in a creator. Most people of faith, they have faith in a creator, and so a good creator that wants the best for us. And so the way I see it is that all these people, this collective intelligence, our creator, is supporting that and guiding us. Even if whatever you believe, if you're an atheist, you can still be guided by the creator. That's what I believe. And so yeah, so I see that as part of my role.
Beautiful. Wow. Wow.
I guess I could say a little bit more about how I have in the past felt like I didn't quite belong because I have a specific faith walk. I actually did leave. I made the announcement about 8 months ago that I'm no longer calling myself a Christian because I don't want to. There's so much within Christianity that I don't agree with, and I just don't want to be associated with Christianity anymore. I'd rather people see me as a vegan and an animal rights activist. Now, after I had a really negative experience with animal rights activists, I thought, actually, there's a lot of good things happening in Christianity. There's a lot of movement towards social justice, that there's more congregations, even whole denominations, that are having the discussion about embracing the GBTLQ community, and it's divided denominations because they can't come to agreement. But it's a conversation that is happening. And so, for example, there's the Lutheran. A lot of people might not know there's 3 Lutheran denominations, and there's one that called ELCA that's very open, Evangelical Lutherans of America or something like that. And they've decided to encourage each congregation to they can make their own choice of whether or not they are called a welcoming community, and they have that dialogue within their church, which is really encouraging them to embrace diversity and have the kinds of conversations where people discuss things rather than argue. And so I see a lot of churches, like the Church of, let's see, there's other denominations, like the Methodist Church right now is having that discussion. They're probably going to split. The Episcopalian Church split because they could, some people want to embrace GBTLQ. So those ones that are becoming what they call welcoming congregations, they're the ones who I think will be more open to veganism. And they're the ones who are dealing with social justice issues. And they're the ones who are seeing that we are not about trying to convert people, but we're about love, because that's what Jesus was about. He's about loving everyone. And there's even an increasing number of people who call themselves Christian Universalists, which I identify with. And that is that that the Bible does not teach that there is an eternal conscious torment, otherwise known as ECT, which is what most people who are not Christian associate Christianity with. Like, if you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. No, there's a growing number of people who interpret the Bible. There's a good creator would not send people to eternal conscious torment because of what they believe. And so I just feel encouraged. I feel encouraged that more Christians are going to be receptive to the vegan message and to the idea that and more Christians are receptive to the idea that we can work with people of different faiths and atheists, agnostics, because and especially as they wake up to this reality that we are in an emergency mode. So I really am dreaming that I can be a force for good in Christianity.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, if anyone would like me to, or us to talk more about collective superintelligence, which per our earlier discussions this evening, I see as absolutely vital for getting SRM implemented in time, which in turn is absolutely vital for buying us time to solve the rest of our problems, overheating being such a gigantic one, right? So
yeah, go for it.
yeah, I mean, so, I was talking about kind of this dialectic between Zoom video conferences and Reddit discussion forum threads. But really, it's going to be not just a tennis match between those two, bop, bop, passing the ball back and forth. It's going to be a whole pinball machine. Stop off at Wikipedia, update the text of record on that thing, whatever that thing is, right? So, for example, from today's meeting on solar radiation management, an update of the Wikipedia page for SRM is called for, and the creation of a whole new Wikipedia page for mere reflection, the specific Harvard solution that Dr. Ye Tao is spearheading. That would be called for. Okay, so go over to Wikipedia. From there, go up to Reddit, where you actually say, hey, we just updated these Wikipedia pages after this 2-hour conversation. Check them out. What do you think? And then this Reddit thread goes and, inevitably will branch out into not new Reddit posts, not new Reddit threads, but, just branchings within a given thread, right? I hope I'm getting the terminology right. Threads and branches. But anyway, you get what I'm saying, right? People will be able to talk about whatever facets they want of, the preceding recording and new Wikipedia pages. So all that Reddit stuff happens. And then as Reddit stuff is happening, as stuff is getting refined and sorted out, people will be making Facebook posts. Hey, check this out. We're having this great conversation on Reddit. come join us, right? See, here's what we're not planning on doing. Creating a whole new, social network and a whole new feature set and a whole new Reddit within Radish. We actually tried to build that. Didn't work out so well. And then it was like halfway through, it's like, wait a second here. Reddit has the community already. Why don't we leverage that existing community? Reddit's got a brilliant community. So many freaking awesome people who like to talk about stuff. But there's no social network of actual conversations. There is no snack bar yet for people that, so Reddit's the best they've got. So they just type, right? But it's a very nice community, very well established. Okay. So the pinball goes up to Reddit and goes, right? And that's just ongoing. So it's really, day by day, various people will post stuff on Facebook. They'll tweet about it. They'll say, hey, we're, halfway through this great conversation on Reddit. Come join us. Right. So, and then for that matter, during a Zoom video conference, particularly a long one like this, people can tweet and Facebook post and everything right in the middle of the Zoom video conference and say, get your butt in here. Right. And so you see, now we're already talking about leveraging 3 different communities: Reddit, Facebook, and Twitter. And Wikipedia. Boom, 4. Zoom doesn't have much of a social network that I'm aware of. We're essentially creating the social network of Zoom video conferences, but mashed up with all these other web services.
I remember 500 potential chat rooms on Zoom. That becomes a real social network.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, I mean, anyway, yes. And we leverage the other social networks that are out there, Instagram, everything, anything, WhatsApp. And then we actually start this whole process by essentially providing the glue between, the core of Radish, which is really the Zoom video conferences with broadcasting, recording, transcription, translation, indexing, search. That's kind of, like the core around Zoom. It's like a few layers surrounding Zoom. But then all these other services, we don't really have, we essentially use the services as is, like Reddit. You create a post and then you're just totally within Reddit. It's not like we're surrounding Reddit with concentric circles of data or services or whatever, like we are with Zoom, right? So the core of Radish is really these concentric layers around Zoom. That's the core. And then we basically create the glue between that core and all these other web services that we interface with it. So the whole of that is radical collective intelligence, but it upcycles Facebook, it upcycles Twitter, right? It upcycles Google, it upcycles Wikipedia, it upcycles Reddit, it upcycles all these. And, that's the basic idea. So we're taking all these upcycled web services and social media and whatnot and gluing them on initially to this Radish core. Now, over time, that will evolve. That picture will evolve. So it's probably inevitable that more Radish code will be built to make the whole transition between the core of Radish and the database and all these different services. It'll just make that more seamless. But I'm having a hard time imagining not leveraging the Facebook social network, Twitter social network, Instagram social network, Reddit social network, Google search, Wikipedia, et cetera, right? Because they're just so useful as they are. And so we just kind of upcycle them. Upcycling is just a cute little name for we bolt it on to the rest of Radish, basically. Right? We integrate all these services. And in that way, we don't reinvent the wheel. And this enables us to create an initial layer of glue between Radish, Core Radish, and all these web services that can be relatively simple and straightforward, right? That simply, the simplest form is literally an instruction set that says, after you conclude a Zoom video conference, do this, 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 and this. Check, check, check. Okay. Then copy that resulting YouTube video and paste it over in Reddit right here. And here's how you create a post. Right. So in that scenario, it requires that the user kind of run from one service to the next and following their, instruction sheet. But hey, if that's the fastest way to get this off the ground, and speed is a real need right now. But then, the next step is to create a simple dashboard so it's all integrated. So you just do everything from within the dashboard and let the software make the round trips to Reddit, to Twitter, to Facebook, to whatever, right? So regardless of how we implement it, this is the basic idea. And this was Nolan's idea, is to basically upcycle these perfectly good web services just as they are, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's exciting because with the what I'll call the sneakernet version, where you have to run back and forth between the different web services, literally manually, that we require the user to do that. Sneakernet we can implement tonight. Shall we do it? Just kidding.
Well, what I'm thinking is it would be super easy to make. Essentially something that would spit out what you should, so that, let's say for one conversation, there's a tweet and a post on Reddit and a post on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just having hyperlinks so that there's one of those for each conversation, and from any of those, there's links to the other ones. I think there's something to that that's like super simple.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, that could be the first version of the dashboard, is just here's the links, right? I don't know. No need to call it a dashboard. Anyway, we'll work it out. But the bottom line is, because we're upcycling existing web services intact without changing them, we can get off the ground very quickly with this, right? You're on mute, Patricia.
I was just wondering, because the chat rooms, I don't think they can be recorded. What do you think is going to be, do you think people, like in open space technology, what people do is in their small groups, they have a form that they fill out, like who are the participants and what was the name of the meeting, and then and what kinds of things were talked about. So if maybe in those chat rooms somebody's typing up notes and links, and then that could be done. Yes, sir.
Okay. So question, when you say that you don't think the chat rooms would be recorded, do you mean the breakout rooms, or do you mean something?
Yeah, that's what I meant, the breakout rooms.
So here's the thing. if we can't record the breakout rooms, then we just implement it as a regular Zoom video conference instead of a breakout room, because recording and transcription and translation and indexing are really key. So I would at least make that an option. Now, of course, if a given breakout room doesn't want to be recorded, well, that settles that, right? No recording.
I'm just saying I don't think they can be recorded. I don't think that Zoom.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what
Oh,
you're.
okay.
I'm not
Okay, I'm sorry.
But let me reiterate what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Given that that's the case, that you cannot record the breakout rooms, then when we use open source methodology or World Cafe, let's say there's a group of 4 people that wants to have a meeting at a table, right? Instead of sending them to a breakout room, we would send them to a full-fledged Zoom video conference just like this one, which can be recorded, can be transcribed, can be broadcast even, right? That's the full feature set. That's all I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm just not really, because if there were, let's say, 10 groups that wanted to simultaneously meet,
Yeah.
and they all have important things to say, are you saying that you could have a Zoom channel for each one of them to go to instead of breakout rooms?
Exactly what I'm saying. No breakout rooms, and a
Oh,
full-fledged, with all the privileges and features, a full-fledged Zoom video, not a breakout room from somebody else's video conference.
okay.
The video conference itself. If that's what it takes, that's what we'll do.
Okay. Okay. So that means, let's see, you'll have a whole bunch of Zoom accounts, and then you'll have a link to send that group. Like, they'll come to the main place and they say, we want to talk about this. We're going to have a World Cafe. And so now you go over to this Zoom channel. Okay, great. That sounds good. And I guess I think that will take some money, more money for the channels. And I'm just wondering if the breakout rooms then are more for people who want to have private conversations, because some people will want to. Okay, so great. Yeah, that makes things a lot easier. That was one of the things about the open space technology, is that when people would have to take notes and then they have to come back to the computer, type in the results of their notes, it's not a total transcription. But what you're doing, you would just love open space technology to know, because the open space technology is the idea that every single breakout session would have notes. They'd enter into the computer, that would be posted on the wall so everybody could come and see it. And then they would get more ideas from that. And eventually, by the end of that conference, they would have a strategic plan. And I guess that's what I would like, like some people who have showed up, they wanted to know, like, well, what are the practical steps that are going to be taken? And I would think that if we had a 2-day, usually in open space technology, they say it takes about 2.5 days to come up with a strategic plan. And and I'm just thinking that if we had something like that, or maybe a 24-hour thing would be long enough. But I'm just thinking I'd love to see something where people who want to know right away. Yeah, I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Look, the what you're saying about it, if it takes 2.5 or 3 days, or even if it takes a full week, let's do it, right? Because we need to come up with a full-blown strategic plan for SRM. So maybe the roadmap goes like this: we keep doing these Friday block parties and Tuesday work days, and I'm not sure I want to do too much more than that, just because the block party is 24 hours and the Tuesday work days end up being close to 8 hours. And, that's already 32 hours of video conference. That's almost a full-time job. Well, that's just time on the video conference. And then there's all the work in between, as we've been talking about, the Reddits and everything else, social media, all this different stuff. But then once we've built up enough of a base on the Friday block parties and the Tuesday meetings, once we have several hundred of us, it's like, all right, let's do this. What do you call it? Open what?
Open space technology.
Open space technology. We do the open space thing for a solid week and come up with a complete omnidimensional strategic plan. You're still on mute.
I'm really excited to hear that, because I will be thinking about how to apply the open space technology online. I will consult with Lisa Heft, who's a person, I have her handbook about how to create a strategic plan, just the whole, how to put it all together. And I'm gonna, in fact, I will probably there is an open space world website where all kinds of practitioners are there, and I'm gonna put out the word that we could use somebody who wants to work with me and you and Nolan and Evan. Probably I would think we might, that we might be the steering committee for this.
Yes.
But we'll see. I'm not but yeah, I'm so excited that you're receptive to this idea. And yeah, it could happen in 2 or 3 months, because
Let's make it happen in 2 or 3 weeks when we reach out to the open. Well, here's the thing: we're almost dead. Right? If James Bond doesn't jump out of the airplane now, it's going to crash into the mountain. James Bond has to jump now.
Okay, I'm up for it. I love it. I love people who challenge me to go even faster. I always find I'm usually faster than most people want to go. And one of the things, actually, I just think that if it's not going to be necessarily that we build up enough people on this platform to get enough people to come, I think it's more, definitely we are going to gain momentum, but if we set a date for this to happen and start deciding who needs to be there to represent, and that's going to be part of, people coming to this 24-hour block party, but that's part of open spaces. Who needs to be there? Who's representing the different groups? And so we get as wide a representation as possible, and we just put out the word, hey, this is what's happening for this whole week. Come join for this, and this. And actually, whoever shows up, that's part of open space technology. Whoever shows up are going to be the people who are passionate about this. And we're asking the question, how are we going to get SRM off the ground immediately? So I really support that idea, and it kind of makes me want to try to drop everything. And I guess I I'm willing. I like with the compassionate living circles, I don't have any timeline. That was what I jumped in volunteering to do, but nobody's like pressuring me like get this done. So like in a certain time frame. So I am actually willing to put my energy into helping this open space conference
Beautiful,
happen,
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
you guys. So now you've recruited somebody. You persuaded me. It's got to be the priority.
I didn't know I was doing anything of the sort. I'm just talking. I was just talking about.
Well, it wasn't like you were giving some kind of sales pitch, like Patricia, come over and
Yeah,
support us. But I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to be on here so long, is to get to this point where we could be actually looking at the nuts and bolts of how to go forward, and have this kind of quiet time in the middle of the night.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's not like, that's the beauty of, you're not like saying, Patricia, you drop everything, come join us. But you've been wooing me. I guess it was that love song that really, I don't know what those words were, but no. So I guess we have 5 hours to figure out what time. I keep forgetting it ends at 6 PST, right?
it's 1:32 PST, so we got 4.5 hours to figure this out. We like looking at each other like, great, we got 11. What we're really thinking.
Do it. Let's figure it out.
Figured out. Okay. So, no, I love it. A 24-hour meeting. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so powerful because you basically say, listen, we start off early, we get up early, we have breakfast, we have coffee, we sit down, and we just freaking do
Yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
It is.
All right.
And I'm barely awake, but hey, that's probably when the best thoughts can come, when you're not really fully conscious, kind of a little uninhibited. So what are we figuring out? Are we gonna swarm or brainstorm, or like who needs to come to this? How can we invite the leaders? I mean, what leaders do you guys already, are you in contact? Like I'm thinking about the collective evolution. Are you gonna take notes or anything, or
Oh, I'm taking notes right now.
are you guys familiar with collective evolution?
Only in the sense that Dharmendra uses that term, accelerated collective evolution.
Okay, well that's different. Collective evolution. No, wait. Collective. I'm pretty sure that's the name. I'll double check. But they're a group of mostly vegans who have a. They're so in a line. Yeah, collective evolution.com. And Joe Martino, he was really young when he started this about 10 years ago. I think and it's a platform where they of journalists, and they bring to light the things like that that most, you know, the real news and what's happening behind the scenes. And they're also trying to put a positive light on it to say, you know, most people think this is bad news, that like Jeffrey Epstein and what's happening with him, but this is really just showing that we're evolving, we're raising awareness of what's happening. And so I really like those guys, how they're, and they have this, they would just love what you're doing. And I can't really get their attention. I just have a feeling you might be able to get their attention. And boy, I mean, I know they want to do something like this, because they're talking about how they don't want to just report. They want to bring people together with alternative money system and they know that we can't make governments change. They're just so in alignment. So we got to get them on board, because they built quite a beautiful platform as well as a following.
Yeah,
So
it sounds like a different. It almost sounds like a form of rebel wisdom, but vegan, maybe a little smaller than vegan. So, you know.
yeah, they're supportive of vegan. Like I've asked them, are you guys vegan? And they say most of us are. So,
And we
but
say,
they don't. Yeah, go ahead.
well, I mean, when we reach out to them, the calling card is, oh, yeah, we work with Dr. Silas Rao. Oh, you guys work with Silas? Yeah, yeah. What's up? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they haven't mentioned him, but they definitely had just had an article about Walking Phoenix, and you know they're on the, so I think if you also just talk about super, you know, collective intelligence, they've never really talked about it. I don't know if they know about it. So
Mm, 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 mm. All right. Let's, well, here's what we'll do. I'm going to connect with Silas and see if he knows the people there. Would you say the guy's name was Martino?
Joe Martino.
Joe Martino. He's the founder?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like their attitude so much, because they talk about how we need to be positive in the face, but we need to know the truth. So I really, and to care about everybody, even those people who are hurting us, because they're hurting also. So that's what I really like about them.
Mm.
Let's see who else. Like, you know, timebanks.org. I mean, they've been doing an alternative kind of current, I mean, they don't call it currency because they actually got permission from Congress to trade hour for hour, and all their principles totally in alignment with what we're doing. And that was founded by, so timebanksusa.org. And I think having them come to the table, they've been working on the gift economy for maybe 30 years.
And they're called timebank.org?
Yeah, let me get that. I'll look for the exact website.
Okay.
Timebanks.org.
Timebank.
And
Okay.
Timebanks plural.
Okay.
And that was Edgar Kahn, is a wonderful leader, kind of like a Gandhi-like person who who woke up. Well, he was into social change. He was a lawyer, but then he realized he needed to do something positive besides just trying to change the legal system. And he's a very, very noble person, Edgar Kahn, and I think Silesh and him would just love each other.
Edgar, what's his last name?
Kahn, Kahn.
Cahn.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, and then we have to get the global eco village network. I mean, they just had this 7-day summit where they didn't address agriculture, animal agriculture, or veganism, but they would definitely be receptive. I think they'd be receptive. It was all about climate change. So the global definitely they have a huge network of the intentional communities, Let me look up and see. Let's see, global, and that's where Dinhorn is like the headquarters. Global Eco Village Network. Let's see, I think that's, it's Jan, I think. Sorry. Global Eco Village Network. Come on. It's just going to, here it is. And that is ecovillage.org. I think the specific person to reach out to would be a guy named Sky. He lives at Twin Oaks. He was actually born in an alternative community, Twin Oaks, which would be, they're like one of the oldest and most successful communities.
Mm. Where are they located?
Pardon me?
Where are they located?
They are near Louisa, Virginia, which I think is near Charlotte, Virginia.
And you said it's ecovillage.org?
Yeah, ecovillage.org is the global eco village network.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they have a ton of connections.
They have a ton of connections, you say?
Yeah, they're really thriving.
Yeah. Wow.
And maybe we can somehow ask people, we need to generate a list of these people who are concerned about climate change, and that, the networks of the networks, the coalitions, the people who have been doing this for a long time,
Yeah.
And I'll come up with more names and send them to you, because I've been doing this for 45 years or so. So I kind of can see
I love it. I love it. And here's the thing. Climate change is the flavor of the week at each and every one of these organizations.
Exactly.
When you rip off such a stinky fart in a small elevator, everybody smells it. And that's what's going on here. All these organizations are in the same elevator, and there's just no getting around it. You're in the air I breathe. I'm singing you this romantic song, Patricia, to commemorate the moment. You're in the air. You don't know whether to cry or throw up. Okay.
Well, I was telling Extinctus I might sing a song that he said that he lived. Oh, and Joey said goodnight. We didn't really get to say goodnight to him, but that was so nice. He hung in with us. And Shankar, Myra, hope you'll chime in.
Good morning. Good morning from New Haven.
Poor Shankar. It's like 6 in the morning for Shank. I'm just kidding. It's only 4:30. It's only 4:30. What's he complaining about?
Yeah, good morning from New Haven.
Are you staying up all night, Shankar?
Yes, I can probably give company until like probably until 4 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay, well, very good. Did you like our idea of having a week-long open space technology event? And are you willing to help with this because your skills in spreadsheets and polls and figuring out some way of making a grid so that all the topics can be posted? And I do think we are, I don't know, what do you think, Shankar?
Actually, honestly, I fell asleep somewhere in the middle.
What is it?
You're
Yeah.
tired? You don't know what to think?
No, somewhere in the middle, I fell asleep.
Oh, don't worry about it, Shankar.
So, but I got the idea. I mean, Patricia gave a just like, yeah, yes, definitely. If something like a compilation, I would be interested. Like, is it grouping, compilation, sorting? Definitely, yeah. We can give it a shot, or maybe we can discuss one more time, like with the team, everybody. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really,
sounds interesting.
yeah, great, Shankar. Your skills are so amazing. And
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's another thing that the reason I dove into the Vegan World 2026 is because I just intuitively knew that I needed to know the big picture, get to know certain people, just get a sense of how everything's fitting together and who has what talents and stuff.
Mm.
So I'm glad I got to know Shankar.
Extinctus is having to drop out. Extinctus,
Oh, yes.
thank you
Wow.
so much.
Can we read what he said?
Yeah, you want to read it out loud? Mo?
Sure.
I'll read it. Don't go yet, Extinctus, because we need to sing goodbye to you.
Yeah.
Oh, we have somebody on the phone. Okay, so Extinctus said, well, the time has come to break away from the party. It was nice to have shared my time with everyone during this epic live streaming block party broadcast of tremendous intelligence. Looking forward to more moments of joy as we all carry on towards the near terms of extinction. A while back, I was involved with a few people who were concerned about the future life on this planet. We called our unification Symposium for Life. Most of all who participated experienced total burnout. As we concluded that saving life on this planet is much too heartbreaking when confronted with the hardcore facts of reality. So like Guy has said more than times than I can count, only love remains. Oh, Extinctus, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us. And it sounds like you might have some hope after being with us. I hope so. And I do want to sing a song that he said he loved, that the opera singer sang at his house. Summertime, and the living is easy. And we're gonna save this planet of ours. We're gonna do it faster than we could ever imagine. 'Cause there's only love, only love, only love. Thank you, Extinctus.
Thank you, Extincta.
Thank you,
Oh,
Extinctus.
look at that little hand.
Oh, Extinctus. What a sweet name, Extinctus.
And we, bye-bye.
See you,
Bye.
Extinctus. Have a good
Well.
night. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah. And we got somebody on the phone. Does somebody want to talk?
Yeah. Hello, telephone. And poor Myra must have zonked out a while ago.
I used to think that I couldn't make up songs, but you guys are really inspiring me. I just gotta make up lyrics.
I'm loving it.
Heck yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think I'm gonna just get up and walk around a little bit, go outside and look at the stars, but I'm gonna stick with this because
Thank
we might solve all the problems of the world
you.
in the next 4 hours,
For-
especially with Chef.
Sure.
And Myra, do you have anything to share, honey? Myra's so sweet.
She's sleeping. Let's not wake her up.
You know.
Let's not wake her up. Aw. You're in the air, I breathe. You're in the air, I breathe. Shall we take a few minute break?
Yeah, let's all take a little break.
Maybe like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, 10 minutes. That sounds good.
We'll
What if
start.
somebody comes? What if somebody comes and there's nobody here, though?
Wait a
I
second.
guess so.
Wait, what'd you say?
We can
Well,
take.
what if some,
No, we'll take
Yeah.
the computer outside.
Yeah, I'm here.
oh, Shankar will be here. Yay!
Yes.
Shankar will welcome anybody who comes.
Okay.
Because who knows, the most important person in the world might come in the next 10 minutes. If we're not here, they might be confused.
Okay. Hey, as long as Shankar is on the case, I'm happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Shankar.
Yes. I'll keep myself unmuted too. So.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. You guys take some break. 10-minute break.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll take a 10-minute break. All right. We'll see you in 10. Thanks, everybody.
Mhm.
Spiritual. This is like going through the toilet or something. 24-hour toilet flush. With big greasy turds and shit. Impacts. We better pop up. I should have.
It's I did find out that there's somebody who has a little guide to how to do Open Space Online. I'll put that in the chat. So
Okay.
somebody's already figured it out.
Cool.
And also, I was thinking, I might have been giving you, I don't know, we really, before we invite people, we've got to figure out what is the question, you know, is it going, if it's going to be completely focused on SRM, then that might mean we've got to bring scientists and philanthropists, or is it going to be climate, is it going to be how to solve climate change?
It's really one and the same, because it's not, I mean, sure, the title might be how to solve climate change, but everybody's going to know that it's the SRM plan, right? And we're going to become known very quickly. Mark my words. I know my marketing. We're going to become known very quickly as the SRM people, the SRM group, right? Oh yeah, there's an SRM group headed out of Harvard, and Guy McPherson's a part of it. That's it. There's your resume right there. Bam.
Okay, well, then it's going to be easy to, I mean, if you tell people that, I mean, I actually think this could be a 2.5 day thing, because it'd be
Okay.
nice if people can come for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole week, sure we can, but I'm not positive.
Well,
But I think, especially if you're, you know,
well, here's a good way to think about it. Okay. Like for example, okay, let me just show you guys some notes that I've taken.
Mm-hmm.
Shankar, can you see that?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
yes.
you don't
nice.
you don't need to read it. I'll just I'll read it out loud.
Yes, I can
All
see
right.
strategic plan, analysis, design, implementation, and
How
holistic.
can holistic computer modeling?
Oh, you know, I just kind of scribbled it. It's holistic computer modeling. The next one is PR/mass media. And the next one is social media. Okay. So let me walk you guys through it. The first point is analysis. Listen to this, analysis of all the alternatives. Because somebody's going to say, well, what about a carbon tax? Well, what about the, you have to understand, we're talking with ignorant, heroin addicted monkeys, primates, okay, who are looking for their next fix and do not want to be bothered. So they're going to say, well, what about a carbon tax? Well, what about this? Well, what about planting 1 million trees? I heard if we planted 1 trillion trees, what a nice alliteration, right? Silver bullet. Everyone's got a silver bullet up their ass, right? And when they pull it out of their butt and plop it on the table, we have to say that thing is full of shit. And here's why. Okay, so we need a whole community working just on the analysis of all alternatives. So we can say shit. There's only one silver bullet, and it's just called SRM.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess maybe then the question, because see, an open space conference is gathering people together for to answer a question that there's no certain answer. Like, so the question, the theme is, it seems like our first conference needs to be something like, the theme is, how do we get people, how do we persuade people that SRM is the way to go? Or that might be a topic. See, I think we have to first invite the people who are already passionate about SRM. Like, how do we get SRM implemented. And so one group would say, we need to figure out how to show people that this is the best way. Another group might say, we want to focus on funding. Oh, another group, little small group, will say, we need to get some influencers to explain this, whatever. So there's going to be all these people who come up with I mean, I'm not saying this is a theme, but it sounds like we need these early adopters. Like you said, there's already people who are on fire because they're following Guy. So if Guy likes the conference, Guy publicizes it, then we don't have to try to persuade people. The first conference is, how do we get the word, how do we implement it? And then out of that conference might come another conference that invites the people who are not on board already. Does that make, or how do we persuade people to get on board? That might be the whole theme of the conference. What do you think? But the main thing is that people need to have that freedom to brainstorm about some aspect of it, and they're the people who are passionate and ready. And the way the open space technology says, they don't all get along. The stakes are high. The issues are so complex. It's hard to see a way through them. And the time for a solution was yesterday. That's what open space technology is about. And you can get a strategic plan made in 2.5 days that would normally take 6 months. AT&T did that. And so I guess the key is, what's the question? What's the main thing we need to get accomplished in this first conference? Yes, Jamin.
Never thought you'd ask. Okay, so here's what I propose. I propose that there actually be effectively, we call these things again, open source, what? Open space technology. Okay. So there should effectively be 8 different open space technology gatherings, okay? And these would be the approximate objectives for each one. Number 1, do an analysis of all the alternatives so that you can say shit. There's only one support. It's all different. Room number 2, or event number 2. And these would probably happen on different days because there's people who are going to be, who are wanting, different weeks. We can do these in successive weeks. Right? And some of them convene more than once because, well, here, this will become clear in a minute, okay? Let's see.
I'll put my shoes on.
Okay.
Do the hokey pokey. You put your right, while you're doing that, we'll dance, okay? You put your right foot in, you put your left foot in, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Yeah, just tell us when you're ready.
Okay, awesome. So this next one would be around the design of the, of the mirrors, right? The mirrors and
Okay, I'm getting the idea now. You know what? Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. if you, I mean,
Well, I'm thinking, you know, all the things that need to be covered. And what if every single 24-hour base camp, we just tell people, even schedule leaders or something, that at this time we're going to be brainstorming about this. And so instead of having, or, you know, have them in the chat rooms, or have it, maybe, and I'm only brainstorming, but I'm just seeing that, I mean, it was wonderful to have all these conversations at the same time. If I think we would have, if people knew on this hour we're going to brainstorm about design of the things, on this hour we're going to talk about analysis, and if you want to talk about anything else, we have the chat rooms to go back and talk. Yeah.
Mm.
okay, so I love it. And here's what I'm thinking, that we could do something like the following: have 2 hours for each topic, right? But then the topics that start early, like the first one is analysis of all alternatives. That may spawn other sub-projects that can go in parallel. Because,
Yeah, in the chat rooms.
yeah, because, I mean, listen to that.
Definitely.
I mean, and so anyway, and some of those might go for many hours until they resolve it.
Yes. So that's the thing. You start like mini open space technologies that go for 2 hours. They're open. I mean, they're OST conferences for 2 hours. So what happens is people come in, they say, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, I want to talk about this. And then we make this grid of the chat rooms. And then even if people come in late and they go, and they can see that grid because Shankar's going to make it, and I don't know where you're going to show it, but that grid in my, people will go, oh, back in that, I want to go back and talk about that aspect. And then somebody will be in this main room sending that person back there.
Yeah.
And then people are just like, and if people want to be moved to another person because they're kind of bored, or, oh, well, I'm done with this, then we always have to have somebody in this front area to move people. That's the main, that will be the main purpose of somebody. I mean, a lot can be going on in this front area, but definitely people, I think it's going to be an entry room. So people come in and they go, hey, what's going on? And you go, well, here's all the topics. Which one do you like? And explain to them in case they come in late. Ideally, people will come in time. But what do you think?
I love it. I'm doing a drawing for you guys that I think you'll really love.
What do you think, Nolan?
I really like the idea of people jumping in and then being greeted and introduced to topics actually in conversation.
I didn't, for some reason, I couldn't hear you very well. Wonder what happened to your sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I lost my train of thought.
Something about conversations. You like the idea of having a number of conversations people can jump into?
I like the idea of somebody being here immediately to greet somebody while there's a bunch of parallel conversations going on, and it's not the website, like something about that personal introduction.
Okay.
It's less technology and it's more socially effective.
So I've got a plan. First, I'm going to show Nolan, and then I'll put it on the screen. Okay.
Okay.
But you can hear me. Okay. So let's say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different topics. Okay. At 6 a.m. when we kick it off, we kick off topic number 1. At 8 a.m. we kick off T2, 10 a.m. T3. That way I get to be there kicking off each one, as well as whoever else. And I might dispatch you to take T2. And you just, all right, man, over here. Yeah, you know, and you just direct. You know, you're the CEO of T2. I might just ask Amy to be T3. And you know what? Patricia and I might be like the co-hosts, because what better greeters, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
And we could encourage, if we put out a schedule that tells people the topics, I think that will, that'll encourage them to come. And yeah, there may be, and let's try it one time, and then we'll reflect on how it went, and then do it again, and it'll be even better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, if we can invite some big names for each one of those hours, 2 hours, that would attract people, that might be good.
So, but check it out. Here's the thing. So T1 will start here. Let me show you the image. Shankar, can you do this also? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So each column is a different topic or objective. Okay.
Right.
T1 starts at 6 a.m. and that's that arrow that just goes up. The first one, the one closest to my finger.
Mm.
No, wait, the one farthest from my finger.
Farthest. Yeah.
That one, sorry. Okay.
Yes, that's excellent. I'm seeing it.
So listen, so T1, topic one, let's call it T1, would start at 6 a.m. All of us would kick it off, every last one of us. And then I would say, okay, Nolan is going to take T1 and run with it, right? For example. Or it might be someone else, because it has to do with analysis. I might get, we might get Silas to put that one up, or Yates now, or I don't know. We'll figure it out, right? Or maybe you. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it's analysis of all the alternatives. Carbon tax. What are the alternatives? I mean,
So actually, would there be one group per like one group analyzing the carbon tax, one group analyzing?
That would be up to that team to figure out, because it would make more sense for the whole team to stay together. Just go bam, 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 using the collective intelligence. Carbon tax. One of the people on that team, let's say, okay, one person is going to come up with a statement that will just knock carbon tax on its ass, and it will never get out. And what do you call the boxer referee? The boxing ref, is it the referee? 1, 2, 3, out. Okay. Next is nuclear. Right? Somebody else, this would probably be Shankar, would come up with a statement that will just knock nuclear on its ass. Well, what about Elon Musk's, soul?
Mm-hmm.
And
what about Nicola?
Really, what I think would be most effective is to do it Guy McPherson style, which is really simple. It basically goes like this. Right. This whole page, this whole rectangle, from bottom to top, this rectangle, if that's the whole of planetary cooling we need to achieve, right? We'll say, yeah, carbon tax will get you this portion at the bottom. The other thing is this will get this like that. Oh yeah, and then one more thing. Okay, so like if the whole of it is that, we'd say, oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that'll get you this tiny little amount, this shaded area at the bottom, right?
Mhm.
To get you that much distance. You know, getting rid of coal, you know, whatever will get you that much. Nuclear power will get you that much, et cetera, et cetera. Oh yeah, and then by the way, zoom, SRM will get you this amount. Right?
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and it's all important. All important, right? What's that term? Relative. Everything is relative. Nothing.
I think that the beauty of the breakout rooms is that we have the schedule of these things, these topics, that I'm wondering actually if they should all start at the same time.
No, and here's why. Let me tell you why. I want for at a minimum, you know, you
Go right in here. And you go at an angle.
here for the
Yeah, right. Go right in here.
hours. Listen to this. This is
All the way down when you get in there.
imagine. Shankar, do you mind muting your microphone? Is that
Your parking gate.
okay? Thanks, Shankar.
Okay.
Okay, so listen to this. So imagine there are 8 different topics, okay? And imagine we cover all 8 topics next week, next block party. You with me so far? And imagine that you and I spend 2 hours each on each of those 8 topics. 2 hours each times 8 topics is?
20? No, 16.
16, there you go. So you and I are going to spend 16 hours kicking off 8 different topics. And here's how it's going to go. Listen carefully, okay? Topic number 1, which is going to require the most work, that's the one we launch first. That's the one on analysis of all the alternatives, okay? And that analysis, the work product is going to be this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All right.
sounds good.
And I know how to sell stuff to our audience.
Oh, yeah.
I had to sell stuff to Bill Gates.
Well, Shankar, can you mute? Sorry. Please. Are you muted? Okay, great.
So you and I, all of us will launch that at 6 a.m. Okay. And then just for the sake of argument, let's say that Jamie heads up the team, right, to lead, because, you know, he's done government stuff, analysis, or maybe it's you and Jamie. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's a big, heavy one, right? Okay. Really crucial at first, because that's what's going to bring everyone into our tent. And I don't give a shit if the tent's a mess at that point. Let's get all the geniuses into the tent. Number 1, we'll get all the geniuses into the tent. Okay. Number 2, the design of mirrors and arrays. That's Ye Tao and some MIT material scientists and some guys from Owens Corning and Grupo Vitro of Mexico and Arcorac of France, or whoever makes Arcorac in France. Number 4, but that's mainly Ye Tao. So you and I kick that off at what time? At 8 a.m. So in other words, we don't just kick off the first topic, we spend 2 hours and we probably get it nailed. And if we get it nailed, then we bring Nolan and Jamie on to topic number 2.
There we go.
See, this way the whole beehive, meh. But if more work needs to be done, we leave a garrison behind working on topic 1 while the rest of us move on to topic 2. Topic 2.
Yeah.
Topic 2 is going to be design of the mirrors and arrays of mirrors. And that's where it's Yetao leading with a couple MIT material scientists and a bunch of geniuses from the glass industry, right? Including specialty, super durable, bulletproof glass and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we're going to kill it. We're going to crush it. And then Yetao will lead that. And if we can all get it done in 2 hours, great. If not, yay, keep working with these engineers and scientists, and we'll check in every hour or so. And since Yetao is going to be with that team from start to finish, no matter what, we set up Yetao with Yetao will have his own Zoom account. That's one of the advantages to this. Most of these leaders have Zoom accounts. All right. And if not, we set him up with one. No problem. All right. The next one is going to be, we kick it off at 10 a.m. That way you and I, Patricia, will have spent 2 hours each on analysis of alternatives and design of the mirrors and the arrays. You and I will have spent, and you two will have spent 2 hours each, right, on both of those. And then at 10 a.m., 4 hours into the day, okay, we're going to have holistic computer modeling to determine exactly where to put the mirrors. And we're going to spend those 2 hours making phone calls and figuring out, of the 8 or 10 global climate models currently maintained by government and academia, and even some private sector input, of the 8 to 10 active global climate models, which 1 or 2 do we want to work with? Of the 3 or 4 planetary ocean models, which one do we want to go with? Right?
Yeah.
That's holistic computer model, so that we can map it all out. So we start that at 10
I'm
a.m.
glad Shankar's here. I'm so glad because he's going to help us.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. It's freaking daylight. Oh,
I
nice.
don't know. I hardly even know understanding of the words you're saying, but I know, I mean, you know, about what we're trying to undo, but it doesn't matter because I know I can help facilitate and just I can be present. And I'm gonna have my brain neural pathways are gonna just like
Totally.
and I'm gonna live forever. Whoops. Because you know that when you expand your neural path. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What next?
Okay. I just figured out that at 7 a.m. we could start a whole art and media thing that Melissa could head up with another artist or marketing person or something like that. And I just break away for 15 minutes because I'm going to want to come right. I'm going to probably be needed at analysis. See, I'll just see. We're gonna do the bots. We're being our own bots right now. We're using collective intelligence to stand in for the bots. Boom,
Yeah, and this is kind of a hybrid of open space technology where you already know what needs to be done, and so we're still inviting the most passionate players. But this is even better, definitely.
But you want to know what's so badass about this is that we take, rather than trying to just like make collective intelligence happen 24/7, right? Which would be the equivalent of taking your matchbook and just lighting all the matches, just throwing them, scattering them throughout the wet pile of wood that's going to become the bonfire. No, you go to the driest corner and spend all your matches there. Boom.
Yeah,
Get that
yeah.
right. Okay. So we're concentrating all of our matches in one 24-hour dry corner, which is Friday. It's the driest day. Because that's what people are
Mhm.
just like, fuck yeah, weekend, party, sex, drugs, Netflix, wash, rinse, repeat. You know, okay. So, and we're, and listen, so it's like and we're making collective and intelligence happen during that 24 hours. And then fucking go to Maui for 5 days if you feel like it. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But then the next, hopefully we'll solve all that problem in the 24 hours, right? And then the next week we'll solve another one.
No,
Or
here,
will
no, we're actually going to solve
Sure.
them in 24 hours, and here's how. So at 6 a.m. we kick off analysis. At 8 a.m. we kick off design. Okay. At 7 a.m. I'm going to steal away in between those and kick off. Okay. That's 7 a.m. At 10 a.m. we're going to kick off computer modeling, global computer modeling. And at 12 noon, we're going to kick off implementation. How are we going to get this implemented? Now, you see how those big four, 1, 2, 3, 4, that are science and engineering, okay? Those big four provide a really solid scientific foundation. You notice how everyone tried to invoke the science, the science, the science. Well, we need science too. The good news is science is on our side. So we're going to build the science and technology foundation, and then listen to this. Upon that foundation, starting at 2 p.m., we kick off. Starting at 2 p.m., we kick off PR and traditional mass media. Okay. At 4 p.m., we kick off social media because it's going to build off everything that came before, including PR and traditional media. Because listen, with Diego Pellicer, with the cannabis business, I did traditional PR and traditional major media, television, newspaper, radio, blogs. No, that's beyond, unless it's a big blog, right? Like a really big one. And we did some of those. And then there's social media, and another one is going to be alternative media, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, definitely. Young Turks and all those guys, and the collective evolution.
Okay. And the good news is I have experience in all of these.
Fantastic.
But what's funny is I'm weakest in social media, which is where you guys are strongest. So that's a piece of cake. We just bring in the right experts. Hello. Hello. Anybody home? Hello.
Exactly.
You know, we might have Suzanne and Bean all over that one. Boom. For social media. All right. So check it out. So we'll have social media at 4 p.m. Alternative media at 5 p.m. and politics at 6 p.m. Geopolitics at 7 p.m. And at that point, we're just a little over halfway through our day. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
And finance at 8 p.m. Right, and then that'll have subtasks that we're going to work on. We're going to have philanthropists and foundations, because they're really one and the same as a category for the most part. Philanthropists and foundations at 8:20. Nolan says it will be 4:20 somewhere. Okay. And then we're going to have governments, right, at 8:45, right? And then we're going to have, and then if there are whole teams that will need to just stay with, philanthropists and foundations, all right, we'll check in with you guys later. We know where to find you. I love you guys.
Question is,
Yeah.
will we use the breakout rooms? Because like social media is so huge. There's somebody might want to focus on YouTube, somebody might want to focus on, or what do you think?
No, you're right. Here's the thing. Let me make it real simple. We may end up with 20 different Zoom accounts to make this all fly, to be able to record everything. Remember our previous discussion an hour ago about breakout rooms. If homie don't play breakout rooms, homie don't play breakout rooms. Right? If no breakout room, if breakout room no good, no use breakout room. And look, how many, private sector shit, yeah. See, private sector includes insurance, banking, glass, power generation, water. We're going to look at all these sectors and shake them down, right? Wall Street, tech, ag, right? Coastline, coastal real estate. Coastal real estate is a huge one. Have we talked about that?
With Pacifica?
Have we talked about the possibility? This may have been just before your time, but have we talked about the possibility of going to the counties and going to the property owners of the beachfront property, whether top of cliff overhanging onto beach or beachfront, and saying, look, you're all fucked. Pay us 1% of your property values and we'll fix it for you. Right? We haven't talked about that?
No, we have.
Okay, sorry. All right. Anyway, but check it out. So far, we have And let's say that 14 is the religious sector. And whatever. Okay, so you guys ready for this?
We have a new guest.
Oh my goodness, Ace Otana. Holy shit, you don't get much better than Ace Otana. Ace, are you, how you doing? What's up? Ace. Ace is in England. See, now we got all the continents. We got Oceania. What do you call it? Oceania? Oceania? How do you say it, Shankar? You're on mute. Ace. Ace, you're on mute.
Actually, Ace replied in the chat.
Oh, Ace is talking in the chat. All right, let's see here.
Oh, he says, I'm good. You guys must be tired.
All right, can you hear us, Ace? You can answer in chat if that's better for you. I can. Okay, awesome. So,
Yeah, we're kind of tired, but we're actually doing the best work.
no, it's incredible. I've had to catch 2 second winds, you know, throughout the 24-hour period where I'm just like, oh shit, you know. But then Patricia just starts singing some song about me running down a beach, you know, splashing in the white foamy waters. Anyway, okay, listen. Let me run through the topics, okay? And this list is probably pretty close. It's, I'd say, safely within 80% of our final list. So, and look, and this is just our first pass. At
Should we explain to Ace what we're doing?
oh yeah, Ace. Check it out. All right, here's what we're doing. So, you know, this is a 24-hour block party, collective intelligence block party. So everything I've been talking about over the years, all basically compressed into 24 hours, right? And then we do this every week. This is the first one. So you're making history. By the way, we're recording and we're broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. So, but you probably knew that. Anyway, Ace knows lots of stuff. Anyway, so what we're gonna, Ace, let me introduce Patricia. Say hello. Shankar is over in Connecticut. And Nolan. And you're gonna need a lot of coffee. I mean, a lot of something. Anyway, so check it out. We're planning out next week's 24-hour block party. Okay. So Ace, imagine imagine a 14-lane freeway. Okay. This would be 10 lanes. Nolan, you want to hold up 4 fingers? 14. You see that, Ace? You get 14-lane freeway. Okay. Okay. And in each of those lanes, there's going to be a conversation represented by, metaphorically, just imaginarily, a van. So there's a van in each, so there's 14 vans, 1 for each lane, right? Pop quiz, Patricia, how many lanes?
14.
Great. Pop quiz, Nolan, how many vans?
1 in each.
Good. So 14, right? Okay. Ace, if you divide the number of vans by the number of lanes, what do you get? Okay. Watch him type it. He's pretty smart. Okay. Anyway, each of those lanes will have a separate conversation. That conversation will happen inside of a van. Okay. So all of us, let's just call it the leadership team, just for lack of a better word. Okay. The leadership team. Let's just say all of us. Ace, Shankar, Patricia, Nolan, and Jamin. What is that? 5 of us. Imagine the 5 of us of this leadership team. And at 6 a.m. next week, Pacific time, San Francisco, 6 a.m. next week, next Friday, the 5 of us pile into the first van in lane number 1. And then we ride that van for 2 hours. We get out of the van and we step into, right there where we stop after driving for 2 hours, is van number 2 in lane number 2. We all get out of van number 1 and get into van number 2 in lane number 2 and drive that for 2 hours. And then we get out where we stop, right there to the right of us will be van number
3.
in lane number
3.
Yes. That's it.
No, but the vans will keep going without us because we picked up some passengers, right?
Right. We'll get to that.
Oh,
We may need to let the vans keep going, but only after we've driven it for the first 2 hours. Then we might let the van keep going, and depending on the importance of the van and the lane, we might leave Nolan behind in one of them. Right? Okay. Because my feeling is you're going to do a lot better in analysis, for example, than freaking holistic computer modeling. This is heavy duty shit, unless you really want to jump into that. But anyway, and likewise across 14 lanes. So the leadership team initiates each and every conversation on each and every topic. There's 14 topics. You guys want to hear the topics? This is all SRM centric, solar radiation management centric. So Ace, we're beyond the stage where we're trying to figure out if this is a good thing to do, and is it going to be practical, is it going to work? No. Our name right now is Action Jackson. We're springing into action and we're making this happen. So we're going to, and by default, let's imagine that yes, we're actually going to have a team that will continue on in van number 1. So we pile into van number 1 with, let's call it Special Forces team, right? Let's call it SEAL Team 1. Not the leadership team, but it's a bunch of specialists in topic number 1. So we get in there. We're in the back of we're in the helicopter with these, 6 really buff dudes, Navy SEALs. That's SEAL Team 1, right? And they're all winking at Patricia, saying, "Hey." And one of them gets a little too fresh, so I have to kick his ass. So we're kind of like rolling around, and I'm just beating the shit out of his ass in the back of the helicopter. And then we'd probably just ditch him before we even go on the mission. Anyways, and then we all pile into van number 1, and we drive. So it's the 5 surviving guys from SEAL Team 1 and the 5 of us. So we got 10 people in van number 1. We drive for 2 hours. The leadership team gets out of van number 1. The surviving 5 members of SEAL Team 1 keep driving, right? And then we, the leadership team, the 5 of us, we go into van number 2 with SEAL Team 2, except by now word has spread and nobody from SEAL Team 2 even dares look at Patricia. All right. They're just like this. All right. So all right. Then get in. So they'll get in van number 2. We pile into van number 2. Patricia, how many people are in van number 2?
5.
No. Nolan, how many people are in van number 2?
Oh, you will leave Nolan behind.
Oh, shit. No, Nolan's with us. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's
Let's, all 5 of us get out of van number 1 and go into van number 2. The surviving 5 members of SEAL Team 1 remain in van number 1, and they keep going down the road. We kiss them all goodbye or something like that. Okay, then the 5 of us, 5, including Nolan, get out of van number 1, get into van number 2, and we blow a whistle, and SEAL Team 2 comes running, right? And there's 6 of them, 5 of us. So there'll be 11 people in van number 2. All 11 of us drive now for 2 hours. Park van number 2. Immediately to our right is van number 3 in lane number
3.
Yes. Okay. So the 5 leaders of 5 of us leaders get out of van number 2 and jump into van number 3. All surviving 6 members of SEAL Team 2 continue on in van number 2, and they keep going. We kiss them all goodbye. They keep going. Okay. So now you have the 5 of us leaders in van number 3. We blow a whistle. SEAL Team 3 shows up, and they join us. And now we have the 6 surviving members of SEAL Team 3 with the 5 leaders. We have 11 people in van number 3. Okay. And so on and so on and so on. So the pattern is that the leaders get to spend the first 2 hours in the first 4. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 5 conversations, first 5 topics, first 5 lanes, first 5 vans, first 5 SEAL teams. We leaders spend 2 hours each in each of those 5 topics. Where for those 2 hours, we're only in one lane thinking about one and only one topic for those 2 hours. It's not like we're multitasking. We get focused. And after we've spent 2 hours with the SEAL team, right, that's specialized for that topic. You know how like some SEAL teams are specialized for like mountainous terrain, others for urban environments, you know, others for water, marine environments, whatever, others deserts, you know, there's all kinds of stuff. Okay. We're going to have the best SEAL teams for each lane, right? The best SEAL team 1, they're even named after the lane. That's how specialized they are in that lane. So what are the 14 lanes? Now, after the first 5, we're still going to launch, you know, van number 6 and lane number 6, van number 7 and lane number 7, etc. But not all of them will get a full 2 hours of our time.
Okay. Good.
Some of them will get less, but that's okay. All right. So kind of some of the more foundational topics, foundational lanes are the first ones. And then, you know, it's not that the others are less important. It's that they're going to require less of our time to get launched. Okay? All right. But you know what? This is just a first pass. Later, in fact, on Tuesday, let's go over this in detail and figure out who we're going to invite. So Tuesday is kind of our midweek break kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
It kind of makes sense. Because this way we don't have to do anything. For Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we get 3 days off. Tuesday's on. Then we get Wednesday, Thursday off, which is fine. And then Friday's on. It's perfect. It's a perfect rhythm. Wow.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Now, I just wonder, that sounds really wonderful. I really like that. And I'm wondering if these SEAL teams, will they be, are they going to then become, some of them at least, want to keep working together during the week and feeding that information and
Oh, totally. Well, listen, some of those SEAL teams are simply going to sleep in the van. One dude will be driving, the other 4 or 5, depending on how many survive, will be sleeping in the back and whatever. They'll just be doing shifts. This is just going to go, and then they'll recruit other people. Some will call in a whole division of the army to come in. That'll be like the climate models and shit like that. Others will call in whole freaking national armies. That'll be like the whole glass industry, right? We'll get several companies competing, right? Listen, whichever one of you gets the first prototype that works gets the damn Pacific Ocean contract. Oh, they'll be working. Got me working day and night. Got me working. And listen, the team that goes after the glass industry, right? The glass sector, they're going to get on the phones with the CEOs of these glass companies. These are going to be veteran, heavy industry executives who probably know half the glass industry top execs. And they're going to pick up the phone. I'll call Adrian Sada in Monterrey myself, the biggest glass conglomerate in Latin America. I'll call him myself. Señora Ingeniero Adrián Sada. Sí. Ingeniero Jamin Chad. ¿Qué tal? Bien, bien. Mire, tenemos la posibilidad de un contrato mucho más grande. Bam. And it work. All right.
okay, so I have another question. So are you thinking these are going to have, each one of these are going to be separate Zoom accounts?
Yeah.
There's going to be 14.
By default, that's the plan. We might get some bundled account that gives us like 20 accounts or something. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about that. We'll figure it out. Okay, but what's really interesting now is let's go over the 14 vans and the 14 lanes. Are we ready for this?
Yeah, are they electric vans?
Better yet, they're metaphorical. They're metaphorical. But within the metaphor, they're methane hydrogen fuel cell. Anyway, so here's the 14.
That's better. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so lane number 1. Analysis of all the alternatives to SRM. That's what's going to generate. Hey, so you still there? You're in England, I presume. He's basically James Bond. Anyway, so you left off on you're going to need a lot of coffee. But anyway, here's how all the solutions are going to stack up. Whatever BS alternatives will be piled down here. It'll look like a hydraulic press, crumpled up some aluminum cans. Those beer cans for bullet points.
Yeah.
They meet the hydraulic press. Okay, and then on top of it's going to be this giant SRM thing. Simple as that. SRM is just it. Everything else. It's going to be SRM and the 7 dwarves. Okay. Right. Lane number
I'm glad you're making me laugh.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one. Thank you.
Oh.
Brazil, they're smiling. Yes, this is an inside joke. Anyway, you got to see the movie Pele, and then it'll make sense. Oh, you got to see the movie
What is it?
Pele. You know the great soccer player Pele.
No, never
Oh, my.
heard of him.
He was athlete of the century last century.
Oh.
Is it Maradona or the other guy?
Brazilian Pele. But
Oh, Argentina is Maradona. Okay. Sorry.
Brazil, Pele, Brazil, Pele. His name was Pele.
Yes. Pele. P-E-L-E.
Huh?
P-E-L-E.
That's right.
Yeah.
What country?
Brazil.
Brazil.
Thank you. Wasn't that just super dank?
Extremely.
Extremely dank. So when you watch the movie, and I know it's on Amazon. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but for sure on Amazon. When you watch that movie, okay, listen for the part where they say Brazil is smiling,
Okay.
and then you'll know what I'm talking about. Brazil, they're smiling. Your laughter was the Brazil is smiling moment. Trisha, you're like our just our, I don't even know how to describe you. You're just like in a class all by yourself.
Well, thank
Your
you.
whole life trajectory. Can't you just see her whole trajectory just prepared her for this moment? From this moment. Okay, so lane number 1, analysis of all the alternatives, SRM and the 7 dwarfs. Design of mirrors and arrays. Number 3, holistic global computer modeling to figure out where to put the arrays of mirrors. Lane number 4, implementation. That'll later break down into planning for implementation and execution. That's like D-Day. We're not planning anymore. We're, butts are in boats and we're heading to Normandy. Okay. Lane number 5, PR and mass media. And when I say mass media, I mean traditional mass media. Lane number 6, social media. Lane number 7, alternative media. For example, documentary television series. This whole thing is ripe. They don't even have to film. They just have to fucking get it.
Yeah.
Hello? They can farm that out to Vietnam for 20 cents an hour. It's just a saying. Anyway. Okay. Shit. Okay. Yeah, but then they'll interview us in between, and they'll want to know who is Jamin off camera, what does his butt look like, and shit like that. All right. Anyway, that's alternative media.
And they can show, I hope they'll show excerpts of us singing and playing the hokey pokey.
I guarantee it. Patricia, all we have to do is be ourselves. You're my sister from whom I was separated at birth. Okay. No, really. We're just like two of the happiest, go luckiest, and at the same time, just fierce ass warriors for Mother Earth. Yeah. What's up? Shankar likes it. Okay. So check it out. All right. Lane number 8. Politics. Lane number 9, geopolitics. Totally separate lanes. Lane number 10, finance. Lane number 11. And the next 4 are, subsets under finance, but finance itself is lane number 10. The next 4, 11 through 14, are subsets of finance, but they're their own lanes with their own vans and their own SEAL team. They're not just like a slice of finance. No. They're their own thing. You guys follow me? 100%? Sure, Patricia?
No, but I believe in you.
All right. The bottom line is under finance, we're going to have the following 4 subsets. Ready?
Okay.
Philanthropists and foundations,
Right. Sure.
governments, private sector, which will include insurance, banking, the glass sector, power generation, water. I can't read my own writing. High tech, agriculture, coastal real estate, and then the final one is the religious sector. I'm going to read them all again because this is a super good list. Number 1, analysis, design, modeling, implementation, PR and mass media, alternative media, politics, geopolitics, finance, philanthropists and foundations, governments, private sector, religious sector. We're going to add to this list and
I have a question, if you don't mind. Or do you need to think?
pardon me?
I have a question. Do you mind? Or do you want to
No,
keep your flow going?
What you got?
Well, is it possible that what this whole thing, each one of these vans, we had that picture of the brain on top of the platform, and then the brain would get bigger. So what if the vans just keep getting bigger and like they turn into school buses because we've got audit and all those things, the discussion just keeps going.
I love it. I think we found our Pele.
Absolutely.
I think we found our Pele. And Brazil is smiling. You're an angel. You were sent. Don't give me shit and don't argue with me. All right. I won't tell anyone. Oh, shit, we're broadcasting. All right, sorry. And recording with intent to publish. All right. I just added culture and story. Any other lanes we want to add? We can have as many as we want. We just got to make sure we get all the important ones. Ace, are we missing anything other than coffee?
Who hasn't been talking?
National arts.
Oh, yeah.
About-
Yeah. I put that up here, but I hadn't given it a lane number.
Maybe there's something about.
I'll just call that 16. Thank you. Yeah, we got arts. I'm saying arts and media. And the reason I kind of clumped those two together, I know I've got a media up here, mass media, social media, alternative media. But arts and media, it's like arts, but then also the channels through which they'll be pushed. That's why we've got the and media. And there could be people who participate in this and these others.
Yeah.
In fact, I know 5 people who are going to participate in all of them. All of us. And Patricia's asking, oh, you might not accept it. She's Pele. You are Pele. You've got to watch Pele. And you hadn't heard of Pele. Oh my goodness. All the better. All the better. I just wish I was there when you were watching it. Just to see you cry these tears of joy. We've got our Pele. Holy fuck. Batman.
I feel very touched. I don't know what exactly it means, but I do feel hopeful that I've sparked some creativity.
You're our Pele. You got to see that movie. All right.
I love what's unfolding. It feels very, I'm glad I stuck with the chaos because it was a bit choppy today at times. I kind of wanted to run away.
Oh no, I'm really glad you stuck with it. I love that Shankar looks like a Mongolian executioner from the 14th century. Oh shit! Man. He just went psycho on us. You see how he changed color? He went radioactive on us. Anyway,
Really bad. Like that. Do you have anything to share, Shankar?
I still have to see visually. I kind of got an abstract. If I could see it more like a matrix or something like that, like I'll be able to see the interaction.
yeah. In this case, Shankar, it's not so much a matrix, although there are definitely interactions. It's largely, but not entirely linear. And in fact, now that I've read through it, let me read it off as a story, okay? Through analysis, we prove, isn't it great that we're recording this? This is so dead. I mean, this is the whole idea.
Yeah.
Here's collective intelligence. You want an example of collective intelligence? We went from, grumpy, I didn't get enough sleep last night, stinky men, right? Because I didn't exactly prioritize shower over, work, as you can probably tell. But so we went from stinky, grumpy men at 6 a.m. to number 1, Pele. Number 2, Brazil is smiling. And a dank ass project plan for next week. And listen to this. You want to hear something super cool? Guess what we're going to do week after next?
What? I can't wait.
You guessed it. Same process, but for collective superintelligence itself. Let's do it.
Okay, we've got the structure.
24 hours. By the time it's 11 p.m., you're like, all right, we got to be here for another 7 hours. You might as well make use of it. And then other people are going to watch this and say, what? There's only 5 of them? And Ace? What? Oh, Ace has spoken. Ace has spoken.
Just checking climate data.
Okay. Ace is checking climate data. Okay.
Does that mean he's checking the weather?
Ace, let me save you some trouble, okay? Ace, however bad your climate data is, we're just going to crank out that many more arrays and mirrors. Let me save you some trouble, Mr. Bond. That's because this is James Bond. I mean, he literally like lives near London or something like that.
I thought he was just checking the weather.
Greetings from New England here.
Huh?
Oh, wow. Wow, nice.
So,
Greetings. Greetings from Arkansas. I'm still in Arkansas.
she's still in Arkansas. She's still in Arkansas.
Who would have ever known your Pele would come out of Arkansas?
Well, Pele, he basically came out of the Arkansas of Brazil. Well, actually, not that bad. He came from a pretty decent place, actually. But anyway. Hey, did you ever watch Saturday Night Live in the 90s?
Not very much.
Because when Bill Clinton was running for president the first time in '92, anyway, he they had this hilarious Saturday Night Live skit where he's having this debate, and somebody, I think his name was like Bernard Shaw or something like that. He's just he asks he asks Bill Clinton. He goes, "Mr. Clinton, if Kitty Dukakis were to be raped and murdered, do you think that the perpetrator should get the death penalty?" And then there's like Sam Donaldson there, you know, the Canadian who worked for whatever CBS, and he turns to Bernard Shaw, or there's a woman panelist there, and looks at Bernard Shaw and says, "Really, Mr. Clinton, you don't need to answer that." And he goes, "No, I'm happy to answer the question. Well, first of all, if Kitty Dukakis were to be raped, well, obviously nobody wants to see Kitty Dukakis raped and murdered. But if she were raped and murdered, I would hope that it would happen in Arkansas." Because no state is tougher on crime. Why, in fact, last year we shot past Alabama. We shot past, Alabama to be the the #1 state for deaths by lethal injection, and 2 years ago we shot past Louisiana to be to lead the nation in deaths by electric chair. Right. And we're also coming on strong in education. We just shot past West Virginia to be, to go from number 49 to number 48. And now we're going after Mississippi. Watch out, Mississippi. We got your number. I mean, it's just hilarious.
Making fun of Arkansas. That's fine. That's fine. Just like, yeah.
I would know that it would happen in Arkansas. And everyone's like, what? Because no state is tougher on crime. I mean, I think he's so smooth. He could just spin anything, and it sounds, it was just hilarious. In fact, we should watch that. I'm sure it's on YouTube. All right. And after that comic break, as requested.
And yeah, that's what I was thinking should be a lane. Humor.
What should be a
Asitona replied in the chat.
Humor. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right.
You need to create like a laugh-in. Now that's a comedy show I watch. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
Like, I don't know. bam, the fourth goal or something like that. And she's just rubbing it in.
What?
I, I wish we could just stop time and you just watch the movie now. I am giving you the biggest compliments I think I've ever given another colleague. Really.
Wow. I don't know if I can handle that. I think I meant dreaming.
You think what?
I think I'm dreaming.
No, you're not dreaming, sister.
That's really happening? I'm actually being acknowledged. I went from being told that I was controlling the whole day to that. Oh, I better not talk. I don't want to talk.
No. That's worthy of some relief. It's worthy of some comic relief.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, but what a turnaround! And I'm so glad you hung in there and came back.
I think it was because of my experience with Direct Action Everywhere. It's like they wanted me to just kind of keel over and give in. And I've learned that, yeah, I can't do that. It's
Yeah,
like
you certainly.
dark forces. Dark force wanted to get me out of here.
Totally. You know what? This is the hero's journey. This is the hero's journey right here. Or in
Yeah.
your case, the heroine's journey.
Yeah, that was it's been quite a 20, wow, quite the time. And we're not even done. 2 hours and 25 minutes to save the world.
Well, and the thing is, we have to fill up the time, right? And so let's get collective superintelligence mapped out for February 28th.
Okay.
We've already got February 21st.
I do have a question about those do you mind if we talk about how these meetings are facilitated, how these lanes, these vans are facilitated so everyone feels empowered. We have a good leader who is really, hears everyone, or if they need to go into a little huddle in a chat room because the room's too big, because who knows, we might have 30 people and maybe somebody needs a break, go to a break room. I'm kind of just going to a stream of consciousness, but just to make this so everybody's needs can be met. If they want to take a break and go into just a water cooler room, to just hang out, that's what this, in taking breaks, encouraging optimum usage of our time, so that the goal is that people will leave those vans just feeling really uplifted and encouraged and ready to keep going. We don't want anybody being told you're this or you're that, or
I love it. So here's what I'm creating the topic called policies and rules.
Yeah.
Rules are rules, right?
I think we need to have that before we start, right?
So that's why I'm putting it on this coming Tuesday's agenda.
Okay, you don't want to talk about it now?
Pardon me?
You don't want to talk about it now?
Might as well. Let's see.
I think so.
Okay, so what?
It's going to be easy. Once we do this, it's going to be so easy to go on to the collective intelligence.
Okay, good.
But we might have time. We have 2.5 hours.
Don't we just have such an abundance of time with these 24-hour sessions? Here's the thing.
That's how agile. I was so impressed when I talked to this lady. I was actually in Palo Alto. No, I was in San Francisco it it was called a salon, and a bunch of people there, a bunch of rich people, and I was there talking to this lady from Palo Alto, and she told me about Agile and how they would just spend, the software engineers would spend 7 days together, and
No.
they'd get so much done. And so we may need to do a 7-day thing. We might see, but
But we sleep,
24
right?
hours is a lot.
But we'd sleep in those 7 days, or we not?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's it. Agile. I love it. I love it. This is it.
Have you heard of Agile?
Huh?
Have you heard of the Agile model?
Yes, I had. Yeah. In fact, I mean, we used it at Microsoft, but I wasn't. But my coding days were over by the time I got to Microsoft. Checking sea ice data. Too soon to say which direction it will go. Have you guys heard of climate scientist Stephen Emmett? Anyone heard of Stephen Emmett? Stephen Emmett? No.
No. Now, is the ice data connected with all this?
Oh, well, very much so, because see, we're skating on thin ice right now. We could even have an Arctic this summer, but we're going to hit that Arctic ice with Ice 911 microsilica spheres. Check out ice911.org.
And I mean, is that going to be connected to the SRM that we're doing, or is that separate? We've already got people working on. I mean, Ice 911's working on it.
Okay, so here's how to think about it. Of this big swath that's SRM,
Uh-huh.
roughly 30% of that is Ice 911.
Okay.
Well, that 30% that's not really accurate. There's really two measures. One is urgency, and the other is total impact. The urgency for Ice 911 is off the charts. We need the Ice 911 solution implemented before summer. So it's absolutely the most urgent thing of all. Even more urgent than mirror reflection, which is Ye Tao's solution of vast arrays of floating mirrors. That's mirror reflection, MEER reflection. I'm going to type it into the chat.
Okay, so, and he's saying an ice-free Arctic is a game over event, and so it must be prevented.
Right. And we actually ran a risk of having, we don't know. We literally could have an ice-free Arctic this summer. We could have had one last summer, and then we'd be all dead by now. Right? Or the world would be seriously in.
Well, now I know what to pray for.
Yeah.
No, I need to pray for this.
Well, but here's the thing. The good news is we just freaking launched collective intelligence, and it is growing Jack and the Beanstalk style, right? It's just taking off. Brazil is smiling. We've got Pele. But anyway, but beyond the urgency of Ice 911, in terms of new surface area, Ice 911 will play it's hard to say, actually. Actually, now that I think about it, because Ice 911 increases the reflectivity of all that ice, and maybe even some of the water. I don't know if they can get it to float. Holy shit, I just got it. I just figured it out.
Yay! Yay! Thank you, Ace, for coming and inspiring us. We needed you. And we're guided to come here, I think. Happy to help, he says. I wonder, how did you get inspired to come at this particular time? We've got some, I was curious. Wonderful. Well, this was a really good time for you to come. I think you were guided, and this is the good thing about having something for 24 hours. Then people like you, and there's 24 hours for people to drop in. Do you want to tell us what you're passionate about real quick? And what part you have to play in this epic drama?
Drama. Whoa.
Wanted to be in a movie.
I don't want to mess with that, man. I just haven't how many porn tabs right now.
Oh, my passion is the climate. I became obsessed with it 6 years ago and made it my mission to learn all I can about it. Wow.
You know-
Fantastic.
You don't know what an oil boom is?
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You didn't know about that?
Happy.
All right. I was just asking. That's an oil boom.
I'm so happy. Yes, so happy. I can't even say. Okay, what you got?
What do I got?
Yeah, or do you need me to sing a song while we're waiting?
Oh, okay. No. You can if you want to, always. But I just wanted to screen share. Bottom line, I just figured out some badass stuff.
Nice.
Do you want
It's
to?
amazing we can do this and we're so tired.
Yeah. I'll screen share. Share screen.
I
All
can't
right.
really think of a song, but
So these are oil booms. Are any of you familiar with oil booms? And you can just read me what Ace writes because I can't see chat right now. An oil
Okay.
boom, if there's an oil spill, you drop either by helicopter or speedboat or something, just drop as quick as you can. It's like a lasso. It becomes a barrier because part of it is floating under the water, the rest is above the water, right? And you lasso the oil, right? And then, tugboats can drag it somewhere, or you come in with some specialty ship that basically slurps it up. But you contain it. That's the key. Now, oil floats, right? So, you following me there, sister?
I am.
All right. So I just figured out a way that we could really simply create a whole bunch of reflectivity that's also very safe and could be more rapidly deployable. Anyway, here's what it is. So, and I'm going to get off screen share now that you know what a boom is, an oil boom. Okay. And the reason I know all about oil booms, you of course you remember the Exxon Valdez spill up in Alaska. This was before your time by about, I don't know, 8 years or something, maybe whatever. Anyway, it's big ass oil spill up in Alaska. Exxon Valdez.
Yeah.
As soon as my dad and I saw that on television, we sat down at the kitchen table and we started designing oil booms to contain the oil.
Nice.
Anyway, nothing ever came of it, but because it turns out that what we were designing had already been designed, but we just came up with the design. And
Wow. That's super
Well,
cool.
yeah. Anyway, but here's the idea. Okay, I'm first going to show it to Nolan. So this just conceptually, imagine this is the Arctic. And then this is all ocean outside that tight circle. All ocean, ocean, ocean. Here and there. Both donut, beyond the donut. What's the donut? This is the boom. What do we do in between the boom and the Arctic? We put a bunch of hollow glass spheres that are durable, right? And that float. And that whole floating layer becomes reflectivity. Here, let me show you guys. Okay. This is just kind of conceptual, certainly not to scale. But imagine this, see this circle in the middle there that says Arctic? That's the Arctic, that tight inner circle. This line around it is the boom. This is just conceptual. We'd figure out precise ways of doing this that would be super tight. But anyway, there you got the boom. And then in between the boom and the Arctic, we dump about 1 trillion of these spherical glass balls about the size of tennis balls, right? Or maybe a little bigger, maybe softballs. But they're made of glass, very durable, totally reflective, super reflective white. And it's basically Ice 911 on steroids. But these would float on the water, and the boom would contain them. They float on the water, and the boom would contain them. Another idea is do exactly that, but listen to this. You want to hear the next innovation? This is badass. Remove the boom. What happens then? They float freely throughout the oceans of the world. Never more conscious. Ships can go right through them. And they're made of sand. So they're not like a contaminant or anything. The worst that can happen is a whale swallows one and then has to take a big dump or something. You know, we do a poop test. I'd volunteer for that. No animals were hurt, but man, that's gonna hurt. Swallowing like a glass thing the size of a shit. Actually, maybe we scale one down for like my rectum compared to like a whale's rectum. Do whales even have rectums? Hey, Shankar, do whales have? Anyway, bottom line, we're gonna figure out something really cool. And we're gonna cool this planet down. This planet's gonna be as cool as my mullet. Actually, my mullet's pretty hot, so I probably better think of a better analogy. But anyway, you get my point.
Yeah, a couple of questions came. I know. It's a more of a research question, if I may ask.
What you got?
Does it matter which hemisphere of the Earth the concentration needs to be?
I think you get most bang for buck around the equator, but for this coming summer, particularly with a view to protecting the ice, I think we're going to want to do the boom thing here. I don't think the world is ready for remove the boom, right? That'd be like me on my first date saying, yo, baby, lose the pants, right? You don't want to lose the boom, right? So don't lose the boom, at least not on the first date. Once we've proven it with the boom, then maybe on the second date, I might say, hey, maybe think about loosening that up a little bit, right? Loose them. Okay. But with the boom, we got something really solid here. Because with that, we cool the dark blue ocean water surrounding the fragile Arctic. We chill that shit out. We chill it out. It's so simple. It's so simple. Anyway, let's get back to mapping out. Okay, you wanted to talk policies and rules, right? So, but here's the, okay, so keep in mind, let's keep in mind the context, right? Let's take a page from the Alan Savory playbook and consider the context. The context is you're going to have surviving members of a SEAL team with the 5 leaders, right? So either, 10 or 11 people, depending. And, that's a lot of people. And they're highly selected, right? Now, our leadership team, we're going to be totally in sync with each other. So it's not like we need a lot of rules, right? I mean, would this conversation have gone any better if we had rules? I would argue it would have gone worse, because we're able to just like push the boundaries and stretch and just have some fun, right? Shankar gets to fulfill his lifelong fantasy of dressing like a Mongolian executioner in the 14th century, right? Anyway, so, we're having fun. Like if that were against the rules, if like no executioner dress were allowed.
That's part of the rules. Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. That's it. Simple rules, like have fun. And you know what? These SEAL teams, they're highly trained, right? Really highly trained, skilled, seasoned.
Well, that brings up a question, though. Oh, go ahead.
But but as trained as they are, they're not us, right? And some of them might come to the table with an ego or something, and some of them might be like wealthy sociopaths who are used to just like taking over, right? So I think rules are actually a really good idea. So let's say, how about a two, listen, if you can't say it in 2 minutes, I don't think any of us is talking more than 2 minutes tonight, except for me.
Well, I think I have, definitely.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. What if we implemented the following rule? See, I think 1 minute is too short. Everyone would be looking at their watch. But 2 minutes, and there will be someone keeping time, right? And they have to keep time for everyone talking at any moment in time. That way they're not just like targeting. Oh, I think Nolan's talking too much. I'm going to start timing Nolan. Oh, no. Oh, Patricia, she's fine. She's not,
I like that rule. I like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't care if someone's talking for 2 seconds. Measure the damn 2 seconds. You don't have to record it, but fresh stopwatch every time it changes. Speaker. I mean, within reason. Look, obviously, see, like right now, what you're saying, you say, "Oh, I like that." Obviously, we don't have to measure that, but I mean, like me, definitely. And then let's say that at 2 minutes, whoever's keeping time holds up 2 minutes in front of the camera, and whoever's talking has to say acknowledged. And then they can keep talking. But by the time it gets to 3 minutes, 3 fingers are up and shut the bleep up. Right? Come on, you had a full, look, this is like, oh, I've got an inspiration. Oh, okay, go, Jamin, go. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, acknowledge. Blah, 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 blah. Come on. Now, at that point, if I want to continue, everyone would have to make this motion to say continue, to continue. Versus, you know what, Jamin, stop. Okay. Stop.
Okay, guys.
Unanimity.
I have to. Yeah.
Shankar.
Really. Thank you. I enjoyed, but I will resume. I'll catch up with the recording or anything.
Dude, awesome hanging with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Dude,
Yes.
made all
Thank you.
the difference.
Yes.
Thank you. Love you, brother. Have a great weekend.
Yes.
Good night, farewell. For your time.
Mongolian executioner, it's time to chop off the head.
Okay.
Even if he's vegan, he still likes seeing people dead. So let's say Shankar. No, I'm just kidding. Great to see you,
Okay.
Shankar.
Two more hours for you guys. Good.
That's right. 2 more hours, but you're going to be with us in spirit.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Love you, Shankar. Thank you, brother. Let's see how James Bond is doing in England. My passion is the climate. I became pleased with it obsessed with it 6 years ago. I made my mission to learn all I can about it. Well, dude, you're on the team. Ace, oh my goodness. So, Ace, could you put together some sort of analysis, however simple, that says basically, look, the planet is overheating at this rate in terms of like watts per square meter times the surface of the earth or whatever. And then determine on that basis that just to stop the current overheating would take this many million square kilometers of reflectivity, right? And then to cool the planet would require so many additional millions of square kilometers of reflectivity, right? And that's it. Anyway, Ace is going to go see Q down in the underground 007, the underground laboratory, right? From the from MI6. So he's going to go see Q and see what they can do data-wise for that. Oh, hello, 007. Check out our new Aston Martin.
Now, in terms of the policies, now when the leaders leave and the van keeps going, who do we put? Who's in charge of that team?
It'll be the leader of that SEAL team. We will designate a leader, and it'll be either somebody from the SEAL team or we'll send in one of our own. So, and here's the thing. Nolan might, let's say Nolan goes with lane number 1, analysis of alternatives. He might only hang out with that team for another couple hours and then take a chopper over to wherever we are, right? And then like the chopper's like lowering him down. He's like holding onto a rope with one hand, holding onto a cigarette in another, and then like we lower him down to the top of the van and we open up the hatch. That'd be cool. That'd be so cool. All right. Okay.
So now,
Huh?
I was wondering, in sociocracy, one of the consent decisions making rounds are really important. So everybody gets a chance to speak. I know I'm not saying we have to do it that way yet. How do people know who's next in the line, and that's the nice thing about a round, is that you don't have to be going, oh, when am I going to speak next?
Okay. So can I tell you how, I'm sorry, did I?
Answer. I'm just asking questions.
Okay. So let me tell you how we did it in the social club and even in the solution club. We had a longer, we had a more generous window. We'd let people talk for basically 5 minutes, and we'd even let them go over, and then I'd hold up 6 fingers, and then I'd hold up 7 fingers.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not going to name any names, but there were some folks for whom I had to hold up like 9. And I'm just like, dude, I'm running out of fingers. Anyway, but here it would be, like we just said, if we're all in agreement. Now, how would it work in terms of when is it your turn and all that stuff? So here's the basic idea. What we do is, if somebody wants to talk, they hold up their hand, right? And then the facilitator, who's pretty much always been me, except for recent VCI meetings after Ann, Benjamin, and Suzanne took over. If I'm facilitating, I would just keep a list of who's next,
Right.
just like I did with
Yeah.
Avery and all that. That was a whole different situation because we had these two giant fish in my little backyard swimming pool, and I'm kind of like trying to swim away and not get bitten in the ass or something like that. But in our case, with us and the SEAL team, we're all just like, hey, it's totally egalitarian, and but we just have a single facilitator. Is not necessarily the same as the timekeeper. In fact, ideally, there'd be a separate, someone else would be the timekeeper, because otherwise it's just too much. I tried to do it all, and it was too much.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, that was kind of like, when I was, hey sweetheart, how's it going? It was kind of like when I did my first tour in Nam, and this one time I was like flying a helicopter with one hand and firing a machine gun with the other. So, but it was good. It was good training. Pardon me?
You really did that?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Anyway, but I'm just saying, I speak metaphorically. Like,
I know there are vets. There are people who I would have never thought, the way they are now, that they are vets. So you never know.
yeah. Well, anyway, sorry. I was just, you were like, oh, I thought you were such a nice guy.
No, I would have.
I'm just kidding. Oh, let me make sure the iPad doesn't run out of juice. Oh, stuff just froze up. Yeah, we might be out of juice.
Oh shit.
Okay, that's all right.
There's a charger.
I got a charger.
Okay.
Probably time to get it. No.